Hello, welcome to the CVB's podcast on how to prepare electronic outlines for submission to the CVB via the NCAH portal. This podcast is a companion to the written user guide 18. It's not meant to be used in lieu of reading that user guide, so please read the user guide thoroughly as well. We will be requiring that electronic outlines be placed on a CVB supplied template or a CVB approved custom template that your firm may elect to develop. Portal User Guide 17 includes detailed instructions for what we need in a template, so please read that before you attempt to prepare an outline for submission. If the outlines are not on an acceptable template, they will be returned unprocessed. The reason we are being strict about this is that we are going to be using electronic features that will improve our efficiency of review, electronic document comparisons, electronic navigation bars to find certain places in the outline, which also will increase how critical it is to have the same kind of information in the same place in everybody's outline. Here I have the CVB's outline for vaccines, bacterins, toxoids, and it's not been filled out yet. So you can see that the template does come with a specified cover page and headers and then headings for you. And you can put whatever information you want to under those headings. The cover page is configured with essentially like form fields. And the nice part of that is if you click in here to enter something, so let's say my true name is Escherichia coli bacterin, and I move out of that, that field then transfers into the subsequent page heading. You can see I've got E. coli bacterin already entered. So it saves you from having to do it more than once. So my product code, which will also transfer to the subsequent page headers. The date submitted, that is the date that you do anticipate putting it in the portal. So say this was something I was getting ready, and today I do intend to submit it via the portal. I'll put today's date in. Now, version. This is my very first one, so I'm going to say it's a baseline version. There's another user guide, number 19, that talks about the versioning system, so please see that. Supersedes, that's a supersedes date. So what was the date submitted for the last paper outline that I had? For purposes of illustration, I will say that that was submitted April 15th of last year. Prior version number. The last version was paper, so I would say not applicable. If, however, I had prior electronic versions, I would put that version number on there. Now here it says choose an item. You'll notice that your choices are new for a brand new outline or complete revision. And that is because we will not be accepting individual page changes electronically. The reason for accepting individual page changes under the paper system was that we also manually reviewed all those pages for changes. And if we could get by without reviewing so many pages, all the better. With electronic comparisons, it really doesn't matter how many pages that we need to compare for changes, and so therefore it's just a lot easier to deal only in complete revisions. In an electronic system, it would be hard to insert pages with other signatures and other dates on it within another document. Entering our establishment name and our number. Okay, now you can see that, for the most part, all transferred over to the subsequent page header. The one thing it didn't was this choose a complete revision. And if anybody knows how to make that transfer over, let me know. But a pick list didn't seem to work so well. Okay, so now I've got my header and my cover page is done. This footer part is for CVB use only, so just leave that alone. And now I can come in and I can add text under each of the headings. So and it will expand as much space as you need. You'll notice that with the CVB templates, we've essentially locked down these headers. So I'm trying to delete now and I can't. That's so that you don't inadvertently blow away a header. And we do want you to use the codified headers, not variations that perhaps some outlines had in them as paper. You'll also notice over here we've got this left-hand navigation bar, and there's more about this in User Guide 17. But basically we do need you to configure these headings in a way that Microsoft Word can see them as a heading, and we can navigate in our document much more easily this way. Another reason that we want our template or an acceptable alternative used. So if I wanted to go to section 4A, I don't have to scroll through the pages to find it. I can just say I want to go to section 4A. So this is basically how you would fill out this outline for the first time to create your baseline that is an exact replica as far as content to your last paper. And you'd save that. You'll notice that you don't sign it. So just to review what we went over, the first step when you establish an electronic baseline, you're taking a fresh template and converting the outline that you used to submit in paper onto our electronic template. It must have identical content to the last filed paper outline. And the reason for this is that we have so many of them and we need to be able to expedite reviewing them. And if there's no changes from the last filed paper copy, we can go through them much more quickly and verify that your electronic baseline is accurate. So please, no revisions to content in the baseline submission. CVB does have extra personnel to process these baselines to confirm that there is a faithful reproduction of the content, and then that will allow us to do electronic comparisons in the future, which are far quicker and more efficient. For those baseline submissions, we have special submission types in the portal. Outline, baseline version only, special outline, baseline version only. And Portal User Guide 20 and the accompanying podcast for that has more information. But please use those specific submission types when you are submitting a baseline. Okay, so you've submitted your baseline, and now you've gotten it back from the CVB as a processed document. This is an example. Actually, this example isn't a baseline, but nonetheless, this is an example of a processed outline. And you can see that CVB has been added to the version number, and a mail log number has been added, and a signature with the same kind of text that you used to see on the stamp that we put on paper copies, that now appears as part of the signature. And you will see that because it's part of the footer. You'll see that on every page, just as you did when it was paper. The only edits that you will see on a processed signed outline are what we have historically called the pen and ink changes that the CVB may make. So there may be some and there may not be. They will be shown as track changes so that you can identify them. For example, here, the CVB deleted this text and added this text. The CVB's comments will be in a separate page, and the reason for this is so that the document looks more polished as a signed final document, especially if you're sharing it with other regulatory authorities. So you have a filed baseline, and now it's time to do some revisions to your outline content. What you will do is you will do a save as, so that you can save a copy of your filed outline, and that will remove the signature as soon as you do a save as, but that's okay. You don't want the CVB signature on it once you start editing it. You'll accept any pen and ink changes that you see, and you will remove that prior mail log number, and at that point you will turn on track changes and make any edits to content. For each edit, you're going to insert an explanatory comment at the point of edit. So let's try that now for this particular outline. I want to work with it and make updates. So the first thing I'm going to do is save it. And I will say, since that was version 3, I'll now say I'm going to have version 4. Now, saving a copy will invalidate all the signatures. Do I want to continue? Yes, I do. I don't care that the signature is being removed. I need it to be removed. So now I've got it saved, and I no longer have a signature, which is what I want. I'm going to double click down here in the footer, and I'm going to remove the CVB mail log number that was added, because there'll be a new mail log number for this current one. I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to say we were revising version 3 CVB, and this is actually version 4. And my supersedes date of June 1st, 2016, and my new current date. You'll notice that I went ahead and typed those back in. I did not do a copy and paste to move the date submitted down to the supersedes version. That's because these are fields, and when you try to do a copy and paste to make those changes, it will actually end up, in many cases, copying the entire field and not just the value in the field. And that causes problems, because now you've got two fields that are essentially superimposed one on the other, and you won't see what you expect to see. So avoid doing copy and paste with these fields on the cover page and in the subsequent page header. I'll verify that everything, now here the version didn't transfer over, so I will be fixing that. This is version 4. Okay, and I'm going to save those changes. This particular document did not have any previous changes. If it had, I would have had to accept those. And how you do that, you should go over to Review, and you say Accept, and accept all changes. Won't hurt anything for me to do that, but so the only changes that you would see in a filed outline are the pen and ink changes that the CVB made during their last review. So you'd always want to accept those. Even if you think they're wrong and you're going to re-edit back, you would still accept what the CVB did in the last revision. So now you've got a clean copy, there are no edits on it anywhere, and it's ready to go. So now I'll go in and I'll turn on track changes. And it's important to do this because, again, we want to use electronic document compare. So we want to be able to see your changes. So maybe I need to add another sentence. I want to get out of simple markup, all markup. Maybe I need to delete something. Now, for every change that I make, Right now, you are preparing a summary of changes. Here, we ask you to put your explanations right in context. So, I would click within my change and go up here and say New Comment, and then I would say why I added it. Sentence added per CVB request and mail log 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. No longer applicable. A reason for each one of your changes. Right there in context. This replaces the summary of changes, which, as far as the CVB is concerned, we do not need anymore. I know that some of you still want a summary of changes, and I will show you later in this podcast what some of your options are for that. So you go through and you make all of the changes that you want to, and make sure that you have a comment associated with each one. Just a sentence or two about tacking the comments on. If you can actually click within the change itself or highlight the change itself and add the comment, that's great. There are certain times that doesn't work. If you happen to have an image in your outline, you can't click right in the image and add a comment. So in that case, click in text that's very close by and put your comment there. We do ask you not to click out in open space. Like I would not want to click out here where there's nothing and add a comment. And we also ask you not to put comments within these fixed headers. And the reason for that is that it does kind of play around a little bit with electronic compares. It doesn't like that very well. So if you could avoid that, that just helps us out. After I finished making all of my track changes and associating comments with them to explain why I made the changes, if I want a summary of changes, there are various automated methods to allow you to compile a summary very quickly and easily. I'm going to show you how we do it with a program by DocTools. This is not meant to be an endorsement, as there may be others equally suitable things. This is just what we use. So when I finished with my outline and have all of my changes made, I've got DocTools installed as part of my Word setup. So I do have a menu tab for it. So I'll go over and simply say I want to extract the changes from the entire document. So it basically goes through and scans everything. You can see the summary appearing here right before your eyes. And now we have the original text to kind of give us some context for the change. We see our insertion in relation to that existing text and the reason why that text was added. And we've got that for every line. So this is a possibility. If you wish to submit it with your outline, that's also fine. Just make it a separate document. We don't want it appended to the outline. This concludes this podcast. If you have any questions that aren't answered in the written guidance or this podcast, feel free to email us at cvb.pims@aphis.usda.gov. Thank you.